Hello, welcome to One's the Force of Stars podcast. My name is Phill, of course. I'm joined as usual by George and Absent. Good evening, George.
Hello there, how are we?
Not too bad, not too bad. Dave, unfortunately, is not able to join us this evening. He's having some building work in, so his usual studio has been overtaken, and he may jump on later. But as for now, unfortunately, it's just going to be the two of us. Not a huge amount to talk about this night, though, George.
No, we've got very lucky. Today we've had a lot of things drop, all the same thing, a Blu-ray cover and details, but it's Star Wars. There's not just one, not two, not three, not four. There's around about 5 versions of this film. That's before you even get a box set.
Yeah.
And then there's how many versions of the box sets are there? Star Wars, that's the title. Control, you must have control. Control that wallet, control that spending. Pick one version wisely and make do with it, because I will discuss all that in a moment. But I'm well. I hope you see. Before we're going to quickly hype up our Clone Wars video from Sunday. I mean, you David had a brilliant discussion, hour and a half, talking non-stop Clone Wars, favorite episodes, favorite characters, thoughts on the series, stuff we liked, stuff we didn't like, that we grew to like. It was a fun show, and of course, it is in honor of Season 7, the final season, which starts in 2 days' time. Now, if you are over in America, you'll be watching on Friday. If you actually, I forgot to put this news, but we'll just rock into this straight away. You're in the UK. You're in the UK. This Disney Plus comes out on March the 24th. And for the 3 of you that haven't watched The Mandalorian yet, who are really proud to say I'm going to binge it all on March the 24th, well, boy, we've got some news for you. UK Disney Plus social media confirmed this week that the Mandalorian episodes will, quote, begin streaming on the 24th. Now, there was uproar. Everyone was commenting, brackets that had already seen The Mandalorian, saying, why aren't all the episodes coming out, as it's already been out for 3 months? And they just tweeted a generic reply to the public saying, UK content will differ from US broadcasting in circumstances. Now, watching you could be watching the Mandalorian finale for the first time in May in England. Let that sink in. Our worry is obviously we paid for our flights. Yep. Clone Wars was due to come out in the UK halfway into the air dates once a week. You're going to get episode sort of 5, 6 around the time Disney Plus launches in England.
About that, yeah, about episode 5, I think, yeah.
How certain are we that we will now get episode 1 on release and it will be dragged out across 12 weeks, thus being 11? That's being 5 weeks behind.
Highly suspicious that might be the case.
My issue with this, and this isn't just Star Wars, this is general common sense now.
Yeah. Back
in the day, obviously everyone knew Friends was like the biggest sitcom in the world. Now in sort of 2000, it's just an example because I remember it. I know this till years down the line. I remember watching the Friends finale live. It was this humongous deal. It was only about 15, 16 years after until I realised that Friends was like 7 weeks behind in England than it was on American TV. Now back in 2004-5, that's fine. You can get away with that. In 2020, let alone 2010, you couldn't do it. 2020. You cannot air the biggest show weekly when it's been out for 4 months. Even worse, on the same streaming service with these same creators and owners. Netflix release everything on the same release day worldwide. I understand if it's a case of, we've not got the rights, to put the Phantom Menace on for a couple of weeks. I get that. That's a rights issue. Original content created by Disney not being live on Disney Plus on its delayed opening week is ludicrous. I'm sorry, it is ridiculous. And it's not even a rant. It's just embarrassing. I feel for the 3 people that didn't watch it.
And we've got John Barton here commenting saying that's outrageous. And
it is outrageous.
It is outrageous.
And you know what? It makes, as polite as it is, it just makes the fans out to be mugs. Like, why should you pay £6 a month for 3 months to get the full series when it's been out 4 months ago? It doesn't work. I'm sorry. They really need to rethink that. I'm just going to assume it's only going to be the content that came out already in America. I don't imagine.
Yeah, I think by the time we have Mando season 2
in October,
it'll be on equal footing.
Marvel-wise, I think the next big series after Clone Wars is Winter Soldier, which obviously it will be out everywhere by then. So they should start, that should. I mean, if this is a long-term plan, then I think Disney Plus won't. It's just not viable. People that pay it should have a right to watch it on time, especially when it's an internet broadcast. But that's all I'm going to say about Disney Plus shenanigans. I know this was a mini
Yeah,
round.
I mean, I was talking to friends of mine from Sweden. They won't even get Disney Plus until summer. They don't even know when in summer. They just know summer.
Does that mean in summer they're going to get Mandalorian episode 1 and have to wait another 8 weeks?
Yes.
Are we moaning when they might be 5 months behind us?
Yes.
It is just bizarre. But that's our rant. That's Disney Plus in a nutshell. We hope they can rectify it. We're going to move on to some funner things. We're going to talk Rise of Skywalker. This is our biggest news item of the week.
Yeah, and luckily it fell into our laps today. It's like, yes.
Yeah, we're
not
not on time, but like, yeah, we've got everything ready, guys. We are prepared. For those that don't know, the Blu-ray, 4K, DVD, all that malarkey was announced today. The US release date has been confirmed as March 31st in physical media, and the UK is the 20th of April. So I kind of dropped you a message about this for people that don't know. The reason there's a gap normally with home cinema is that there's laws in countries which dictate how many weeks of film has to gap between day one at a cinema versus day one on sort of DVD and Blu-ray. So in Britain, it's always been about 16 weeks, about 4 months after. Yeah. In America, I believe it's 13 weeks. And that's why sometimes, I think the last few Star Wars films, they've kind of delayed it a week in America. So there's only been a 2-week gap, but this time they've just got it out.
They've just gone for it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. It's going to be online. You're going to be able to obviously buy it off like iTunes, not Disney Plus, but if there's a Disney buy, anything like Amazon Video, you'll be able to buy it all a fair week before. But with that, we do have some artwork for the film, which we're going to very politely chuck up on the screen. Following the trend of episodes 7 and 8, there is a light side and a dark side Blu-ray cover. So it's basically a slip cover that comes with the film. If you're watching online, this is the version of it. We can see Rey on the Death Star for the light side, and the dark side we've got Kylo Ren, who is, well, it's just the opposite of the exact same poster. Can we put them up together? No, we can't. That's a shame.
No, certainly not.
So that's the bog standard Blu-ray. That's quite a limited edition. Brackets, you can still get the light side cover of The Force Awakens 5 years later. We've got the Steelbook, which there always is. And which
finally has it written down the spine as it should be.
I mean, episode 8 did, but it had a horrible colour. It decided to make it red and white, so it didn't work. But yes, they've finally got 9 right. They've got it black with the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker logo. And on the back, you've got Rey mirroring the light side, dark side artwork, which personally I think it's very lazy. I've got honest thoughts on the Steelbook. I used to collect Steelbooks. I've only had the Star Wars ones. Also, I've got every Marvel MCU first era Steelbook, if that makes sense. Because now there's like 5 Steelbooks per film. I've always had the day one Steelbook, whichever they release, which I love it for the Marvel films. Star Wars, I did have 1 to 6, which were beautiful together. They had the same artwork, the same kind of template. Yep. And episode 7 was
which I wanted off you, but Dave got there first, damn it.
Dave got it first. I wasn't going to rip any of my friends off, but it was whoever gets to read the message first wins. And episode 7, I was really disappointed. They didn't have any of the embossing. They didn't have the episode number. They had awful photos on the spine, which...
No, and then they did a special edition version, which was really irritating, because I have that. It's just like, wait, why did we waste the money on that?
Yeah, and that was a 3D one that came out like 6 months later, wasn't it? And they didn't do that for 8. And... so the Steelbooks, I mean, I love the episode 8 Steelbook. That was definitely a step in the right direction.
Yes. Episode 1's beautiful.
Didn't mind Rogue One. Didn't like the front of all the potential they picked.
I still quite like the Steelbook for one, but I've got mine signed by Guy Henry, which makes it a little better. I
just got it plain. I can't complain. It's Death Troopers. It's just like we never saw them walking in the water in Scarif. That would have been such a cool sight. Then Solo, I like that more. It's the main Falcon. It works for Solo, and
again, it's simple but effective, and I really like it. Yeah,
it's just a shame that as a someone with OCD, if you could have had 11 identical Steelbooks, I reckon they will do that in a couple of years. Everything gets re-released on Steelbook. Everything gets re-released in 4K. Speaking of being re-released in 4K, the first all the Star Wars films will also be released on the same release dates, confirmed in America, not UK yet, March 31st. The 4K copies of episodes 1 through to 8 will be released, obviously 1 through to 7 for the first time on 4K, Rogue One for the first time on 4K. Each has a slipcover, which is the Disney Plus posters, which looks a lot better on the Blu-rays than on the websites. It's the sort of the black foreground poster that, and obviously episode 8's getting a re-release with the slip, as is Solo. So you can have 1 through to 8 looking beautiful, and then episode 9 doesn't make sense because they didn't copy the formula. Again, that's an OCD issue. However, they have also decided to announce the box sets. Now, we knew of the 4K Blu-ray box sets, so we're going to go for that first. We've got a Death Star that opens up. We've got a letter from Mark Hamill, 27 discs, which they keep putting everywhere, 27 discs, and we've got a nice sort of, it reminds me if anyone saw the James Bond 50th anniversary Blu-ray box set.
Yeah.
It was like a book that each page had sort of 2 discs on. It's very much in that style, except rather than a Bond girl, you've got Ralph McQuarrie out. So I think that's going to look very nice as a collector's item. So that's what my pre-order has opted for. And they've also released the Blu-ray and the DVD cover. So Blu-ray looks like a magazine collection.
Yep.
Oh, that's the DVDs. I've got the wrong one up. So we've got the DVD ones up on the screen now. Again, you get the letter from Mark Hamill. DVDs shows they don't care. They've just got the old school plastic, chuck them in, get them done look, and another Death Star on the front. And then the Blu-rays looks like your magazine collection of binders. There is another Death Star. Each trilogy has its own fold out. And it's really disturbing because it just says the Skywalker Saga in each trilogy. You'd think it would say the prequels. Actually, I guess officially they've never said the prequels of sequels and that, but you'd expect them to.
Well, it says the Skywalker Saga with 1, 2, and 3,
which is even more.
It's just no. That's not how it is.
They should have just put episodes 1 to 3, episodes 4 to 6, episodes 7 to 9. Again, I'm not going to.
Or they could have done Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion, Age of Resistance,
and that's the official Disney mottos for each era now too. So, again, we're not going to sit here and moan. It's just a Blu-ray cover, but there are enough options for anybody to pick what you would like. What do you need? Do you want them on 4K now? The more interesting in UK, the Blu-ray box set is £65.
Yeah,
bad for 9 Blu-rays.
No, that's a fairly decent price.
Retail price of the original 1 to 6 Blu-rays was £60. So you're really paying £5 more for 3 more. The 4K one is currently listed at £200. 180 if you got an early pre-order. £20 a film on 4K is not bad. That's very good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's one of those things when you look at it as a lump sum, it's a lot, but when you actually break it down into what you're getting, it's really not too bad.
And if the transfer is good, the transfer of the originals onto Blu-ray was one of the best HD transfers that ever been of a film. They didn't rush it. You get some films, I think Harry Potter's an example, where the 4K box set came out last year, literally within like a year of 4K being a thing, and it was this awful tacky box set, and it was £70. It was chucked out. It was a click of the finger. Back in the day of the 3D, when 3D at cinemas was a button you'd press. There you go. There's your 3D. Pay your premium tickets. I'd imagine Star Wars, they took the care. We know this has been made for years. They've been waiting to release this. They couldn't release it until they had the rights from Fox, and we kind of knew it'd be with episode 9. They'd do the box.
Yeah, but that's how you know they've taken the care with it, though. So they had to wait, but whilst they're waiting, they worked on it. So you know it's going to be good. I'm
very surprised they haven't done trilogy box sets to match these. But then again, they obviously just want everyone to buy 1 through to 9.
Yeah.
But I think that's all the covers. Now the content. Now the content. Now I will say this on record. One of my favorite ever behind the scenes. Star Wars is no short of brilliant history of behind the scenes documentaries. You've got Empire of Dreams on DVD. You've got the phenomenal Episode 1 classic, which is on Star Wars YouTube, of the famous moment when they watched Episode 1 for the first time, which is one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. Episode 8 was stunning. You have the Brien Johnson self-made documentary, Director in the Jedi.
Don't forget the hilarious mockumentary of Beneath the Dome, which was just which I absolutely adore.
And there's a lot going on, so I was very happy to learn that episode 9.
I must admit, my favourite behind the scenes one I ever did was Within a Minute on episode 3. That one is just incredible.
Was that when they went through the entire cast and crew and roles and stuff? Absolutely
every single piece, yeah. But just behind that one scene, they broke it down into every single section. About an hour and a half long, but it's completely worth it.
So that's the thing. Lucas always went for it, and he had no issues with spoofs. There was famously the spoof hour documentary, but there was an hour montage of spoof clips on the original Blu-ray box set. And I know that Disney is not as lenient with their, not just Star Wars, just any property Disney aren't as lenient with, which I understand.
It's why we'll never get Star Detours.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we don't have to sit here and talk about Disney. It's Disney is a family thing. To commission spoofs that could taint people, I understand why Disney don't want to do it. Again, it's not like it's one rule for Star Wars and none for another. I think all of them, they're pretty strict with what they're allowed to do.
Yeah.
They do try and have some fun online. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. But we're going to get a 2-hour documentary on the making of Episode 9, which is called The Skywalker Legacy. I am very intrigued to watch this just because it's the final one.
Is that exclusive to the box set, or is that going to be on the...
It's on the Blu-ray. There's one exclusive which I've not written down, which I will actually vex about in a couple of minutes. We've got a behind-the-scenes video on how they create the speeder chase in Pisana. I'll watch it. It's probably going to be one of those you watch once and don't go back to. Aliens in the Desert, similar thing. It's how they got all the aliens, all the extras and stuff on the desert. There's a Dio one, which is like a short reel on how they created Dio and how his impact on the film. You've got a really awesome Warwick Davis and his son, which is going to be about him obviously return to stars from the cameo, bringing his son with him. I mean, they were only in the film for like 2 seconds, so I don't know how long that clip's going to be. It was one day in the studio, getting from the green screen, wave your arms, done. Love Warwick Davis though. Then one of my favorite ones, which is Cast of Creatures. It's going to be the sort of usual creature effects montage.
Yeah, it's Neil Scanlon going through everything. This is all the awesome stuff we made.
And it's always cool to see. This is the biggest uproar. The digital version will contain a 40-minute documentary on John Williams scoring Episode 9 and reflecting on his 9 Star Wars films. How that hasn't made it into physical media
release, that's just
I think is disgraceful. I'm not going to buy it online. It was like they did. I never watched it, but for Last Jedi, Rian Johnson had commissioned the whole film, and it was only the soundtrack. It wasn't even a commentary; it was just the John Williams soundtrack. And I never watched it. I saw a clip or two, but it was just to demonstrate the power of his score. I know that is on Disney Plus, which I've got a massive respect for them putting that on there. But why did you rob us for 40 minutes of John Williams as well? That's big enough to not put that in a Skywalker for the box sets as well. My issue with the Skywalker Saga box set is there's nothing specific for the box set. It's literally the 9 films put together.
Which is why I won't buy it. I'll just buy my Steelbook Blu-ray, and until I upgrade to 4K, I'll leave it as. I'm not missing out on anything.
Exactly. And I wish they'd done something individually. For a start, I wish they'd Solo and Rogue One in there. I get why they don't, but it is what it is. But that is all of the Skywalker Saga Episode 9 Blu-ray news, I guess we can say, all dropped today.
Yeah.
And get your pre-orders in if you want them. They're not going to run out on release day. They will be everywhere. And if you've got the right kind of Amazon, you can actually probably get your Blu-ray delivered to you quicker before it gets released in England. I do very rarely do that. But that's all the Episode 9. We've got one tiny tidbit of news, which is probably the last box office update we'll be doing for the film. It's now on 1.066 billion. Which we kind of knew it'd stay at for 2019, but it's sort of like 5 million behind Joker. Disney pull some figures out their back of their heads like they did for Avengers to be highest grossing film. They probably could, but to me, that's the box office wrapped up. Once you get the Blu-ray drop, no one's going to go to the cinema. It's on its last of one showing a week at my local one, and it's probably quite quiet. So that's happened. And then someone did a tweet of I like my box office figures. This isn't really that important, but adjusted for inflation. So for those who don't know what that means, is get a film, look how much money it made in 1977. You kind of equate the average ticket price back then versus now, do the inflation, do the maths, and then you basically get what it looks like in 2020 box office. Star Wars is famously always second, the original, not obviously any others. Behind, is it Gone with the Wind that always seems to be top? But anyway, Rise of Skywalker is for the 9 films, domestic only, not worldwide, it is the second lowest Star Wars box office film after Attack of the Clones. Again, it's still made a lot of money. It's a massive profit, but it's the second lowest of the 9, which is kind of sad because it's the final one. But again, it's ultimately a meaningless stat.
Yeah. Sorry, just had a bit of bad news come through, so
that's okay.
Just readjusting myself there. Yes, no, it's an interesting statistic. At the same time, it's not really entirely relevant compared to the grand scheme of things. It's made more than they put into it. Wasn't a flop. I mean, of course, Solo famously they call it a flop, but it still made a silly profit, and still it's probably one of the better films they've done in a while.
Solo didn't turn profit. That's the issue, because you have to double.
I thought it did. I thought it did just.
No, you have to double the budget. So Solo, but then again, Solo, it's not that much of a drama because everyone, including Bob Iger, turned around and said, "Yeah, that's my fault." Yeah. Bob Iger says it's his fault. You listen to Bob Iger, because it was his idea. And ultimately, look at the 5 years of Disney films. I think Force Awakens has outgrossed all 5 film budgets themselves. So, they're in a very healthy financial situation. They've got the Mandalorian and they've got the Baby Yoda merchandise coming out.
Yeah, they spent $4 billion to get Star Wars, and they've much more than made that back.
They made that back within a year of Force Awakens coming out. Do you remember there was some ridiculous statistic? I think there was the merchandise for Episode 7 kind of put it in this spot, and then the film came out, and the rest is history. That's all you guys need to know. But anyway, that's all Episode 9 news done and dusted. We have the rest of the news, which is a lot smaller than usual. Again, it's reaching that quiet patch. It's going to get busier soon. It always does. I know Celebration's August this year, but we've got a lot of TV stuff coming. So I used to watch wrestling a lot. I haven't watched it for about 2-3 years. One of the women's champions called Sasha Banks has, out of nowhere this week, been on the news that she's got a role in Mandalorian Season 2. Now, this coincides. I'm not going to turn around and say wrestling's fake. It's scripted. I think there's a difference. These people can still break their necks. They're still athletes.
Oh, yeah.
Olympic gold medal winners in there. Kurt Angle. Obviously, in wrestling terms, she had, quote, an injury on January the 3rd and has not wrestled since. And then the reports come through from very reliable sources, not film people, wrestling people, because it's such a small industry. They're very, very, very rarely wrong. She's been filming Mandalorian Season 2. Very strange, because as someone that's watched wrestling a lot, someone that's got very purple hair stands out. I don't know what they're going to do. It's pure speculation. But when you bring in an athlete and someone that can obviously do stunts as well, it's hard to imagine her having a dramatic role rather than an action role. But it kind of makes it a little bit exciting. Just, I don't know. I don't think you watch anymore, do you? But
no, I watched it in quite a while.
She is related to Snoop Dogg somehow, like second cousin to cousin or something. But I can imagine if there are any action scenes, her and Gina Carano would make a good tag team together. But it's nice to get a bit of Mandalorian news. Ironically, we still don't have the confirmed list of directors for Season 2, which is just ridiculous because it started filming in November and there was originally a press release about 3 months ago. So it's one of them where I'm looking forward to it, but yeah.
I mean, all you need to do is dye her hair. Should be fine. They'll dye it back for.
Yeah, well, they'll probably put her in a helmet or something. Maybe she was an extra after all, like someone else in these fast films. But that's the Mandalorian. Now, the second bit of news we have is a little bit light news. Ahmed Best, obviously best known as Jar Jar Binks, he will be hosting the children's show on coming to Disney Plus. He has released in aid of the Australia, the bushfires, and sort of been under a rock the last few months. Obviously, sad stuff's happening over there. Someone that he said filmed on episode 2 and 3, has a lot of friends in Australia, crew that in Australia. He has created and designed his own motion capture Jar Jar pin, which I actually have a copy of in my hand. It is,
yeah, you were lucky enough to get your hands on one. I couldn't get one in the end.
It is a pin. You see him in his original motion capture suit. It says the signature edition. There's a vague signature, and on the back of the pin as well, it's embossed his signature. All profits from this are going to the NSW Royal Fire Service. So he's done very well charity there. He may release another one. But when you get these stories, it's people are quick to moan when actors want to do stuff like this, but it's not costing him anything. He's helping to promote it. Someone could have released this by themselves, but Ahmed Best turns around and says, release that. We'll donate all the money to Australia. That's the sign of something interesting. And as well, I did forget to put in the news, he has tweeted this week to say that it is confirming his one-man show will begin this summer. He hasn't said what countries, what states, what towns.
Hopefully he'll bring it to the UK, because if it does, all three of us will be going.
When I was at Celebration last year, he was one of the few autographs I did get. And obviously I spoke to him for about a minute. He's chatting to everyone, was lovely. And at the end of our conversation, I just said to him, I said, I'm really looking forward to your talk. Please say you're going to bring it to England. And he said, definitely on the schedule. I'd imagine London. at a push. I couldn't imagine. I mean, I'd love him to do sort of Manchester and other places. But I could imagine if he's going to do UK, maybe one in London at a push. It depends how many people come out, but I think it would be amazing to listen to his stories. And obviously, he's had so many stories. Obviously, some tragic stuff as well. Obviously, he's been very vocal in the past about issues. If anyone, particularly in the UK, have heard recent news this week with obviously a sort of famous TV sort of host. I'm not going to go into details with it all, but it's been a very sort of troubling week on social media, and I think people are starting to make a stand. And it just makes you think back in sort of '99, someone that got all this abuse in person, in letters, in newspapers, everything. And I think he's got stories to tell on that. But that's kind of the news we've got for Ahmed Best.
Indeed. Next bit of news, of course, is I'm going to let you take through this one because you brought this one up, George. Was Rian Johnson liking episode 9? He's been asked about it at the Oscars this year.
Yeah, so Rian Johnson has not sent a tweet out. Everyone keeps tweeting him going to see, what do you think of episode 9? What do you think of episode 9? Oh, JJ messed you over, or you ruined stuff, all the nonsense abuse he's been getting for years. And you're a journalist, you're working for IGN, you've been given one of the biggest gigs of your life, you'll be doing the red carpet at the Oscars, you're going to be able to interview all these incredible actors, actresses, to talk about their night, what they're nominated for and everything. And the first thing this idiot has to ask is, what do you think of Star Wars Episode 9? Rian Johnson just did a very basic reply. I'm not even going to look into this. It's not really news, but it's just one of those ridiculous stories where, we're at the Oscars interviewing about the film he's been nominated for, not because he wants to talk about Star Wars. But he said he liked it. He had a lot of fun with it, and he realized J.J. Abrams. It's not news. I think people were looking for news. People were looking for clickbait. They're expecting him to turn around and say, I thought episode 1 was abysmal, rubbish, get out of my life. Even if he did have those thoughts, he's not going to get his trilogy by saying stuff like that. So a bit of no news there. Got a comment from John. If you guys get a chance, go and see Return of the Jedi in concert. It's become a yearly pilgrimage for me and my friends. I could not recommend it highly enough.
I couldn't afford 4, couldn't afford 5, and I doubt I'll be able to get to Jedi, sadly. I know, George, you've done 4 and 5, though.
No, so I did 4. So I did 4,
yeah.
Hall, which I loved. That was incredible. Did not do episode 5 because tickets came on sale the same time as the autographs for Star Wars Celebration.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So
you had to make the difficult choice.
Yeah, watch a film for the millionth time, granted with the beautiful score live. And as I know that episode 5 is the best Star Wars film, it's one of my least favorite soundtracks. It's still phenomenal.
Oh no! For me, it's one of the highest rated soundtracks, but I don't rate it as high as a film as some of the others.
But so I didn't see 5. I'd love to have heard the Imperial March. I have got tickets for 6 at the Albert Hall. I'm very fortunate. I'm not a snob, but I do have a Royal Albert Hall membership, which does give me priority access to stuff like that. So I don't have to worry about getting tickets.
Yeah, you go off enough to make it worth it, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to get tickets to the Bond premiere, which is going to be the be-all and end-all for me for films this year. So that'll be to watch it properly. I hope that goes ahead because I will lose my mind. But anyway, yes, John, they've been incredible. I was too young to know when John Williams did Star Wars in concert all those years ago. Had I been this age, I would have had tickets probably like every night. I would have loved to see that live, and I do hope they do release something like that. Or if he, not even if John Williams didn't do it, even if they wanted to do Star Wars and music again in concert, there's lots they can do. I know we're on an off point here, but yeah. I really hope as well. I know that they've done like a UK domestic tour for 4, 5, and 6. I don't think they will carry on doing it as a tour in the UK for the whatever they choose to next, prequels or sequels. What I do think they'll do, the Albert Hall does this for Harry Potter films. They did Philosopher's Stone up and down the country. And then Chamber of Secrets, I think, was also up and down the country. Yeah. Prisoner of Azkaban was just the Albert Hall. And they did 2 a year. Then they did Goblet of Fire. This year's Order of the Phoenix. So obviously the Harry Potters have gone through one by one. I've got a very good feeling that Star Wars, they will get the rights to do Star Wars one by one at the Albert Hall. My only worry is that they will skip the prequels and go straight to 7, 8, and 9.
I don't think they will. I think they will go back for 1, 2, and 3.
I hope they do, but I've just got a feeling that 7, 8, and 9 would be first. It'd be sad. I'm going to go to all of them, and this is if they choose to make it an annual thing. Yeah. 7 and 8 would be phenomenal, but the prequels, I mean, if you can get to me, episode 3 is the best Star Wars soundtrack, as in
Yes.
the entire album, song 1 to final song. Obviously, 4's got themes, 5's got themes. They've all got every single soundtrack.
But it's more
consistent.
Battle of Heroes for episode 3 and Duel of the Fates for episode 1. You just want to be sat there for Duel of the Fates. It's just that. Give you goosebumps to last your lifetime.
Padme's reminiscence. I mean, episode 3 is there's so much to there's so many wonderful memories you could get from watching them live. But no, we love that, John. I'm glad you enjoy it because they are phenomenal. My only worry is going to be I'm not one of them that moans about the special editions. I have no feeling towards them. I don't mind buying them because I don't mind most of the changes. My biggest issue is unfortunately the Darth Vader no in episode 6 that forever traumatized the Blu-ray.
Yeah, we all know our feelings well on that one here.
That will be at the screening this year. Well, it was very funny on a side note when they did A New Hope, when they made the noise that Obi-Wan makes with the Great Dragon. That was one of the funniest reactions I've ever heard at a quotes concert. But that's enough Star Wars concerts, I think, at this moment in time, because it gets me far too excited. A little bit of minor news. Again, we've not got too much this week. The Star Wars official podcast meetup has been announced for Celebration Anaheim. There is a Hilton Anaheim, which I'm assuming is around the corner from the convention center, which will take place on Friday, the 28th of August. It's being hosted by, I think, either Steel Wars or Coffee with Kenobi, one of the two sort of really big podcasts. And it's an open invite for any listeners, for any podcasters, for any Star Wars show. You don't even have to be going to Celebration. It is just a get-together of all people that like to talk Star Wars. I can imagine a very positive day. If anybody is going to Anaheim, that's something you might be looking forward to.
And of course, George, we will appoint you our personal representative.
I have. It's so bizarre. I've made almost all my plans, and it's not for another 6 months now.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing each day, but the 4 convention days are currently left. Like the evenings are left blank. But I would like to go. I know a couple of people that do podcasts internationally who would probably go. I just don't want to be that one guy standing around like, where's Phill and Dave? I'd be there just like Skyping you. Like, you guys will no doubt be presenting some live breaking news that I haven't been able to find out because I'm in a different room. And then I'll just like appear on Google Hangouts as I do every other time. And I'll be
you're streaming down there, much better, much more improved situation.
Definitely. I did forget that. My bad. That was Hangouts last year. I just remember I think there was a really hot day and I'd come out of the shop and I just decided to intervene and jump on. It was a nice talk. It was nice to catch up. But there's a Star Wars podcast meetup for all people. Last bit of news is Giancarlo Esposito, also known as Gus from Breaking Bad, and Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
He's now not just Gus, he's also Moff Gideon now. He has done his private signing for Topps Authentics. As everyone in the Mandalorian core cast now has, except for
Pedro Pascal,
who I would imagine is going to do
Celebration.
I don't know.
Celebration. I think Celebration.
Giancarlo is $100. I'm worried what they charge Pedro Pascal. He doesn't strike me as somebody.
$150.
I think 150 would be very fair for him. My only worry is how popular the Mandalorian is. They just slap an extra 100 on him because it's Topps. They have that way of thinking. But anyway, it's for those of you that get autographs, Topps Authentics. You can get him. You can get him on many other places. He's signed for many years. He's great at premieres. He's really good with his fans. Seems like a lovely guy. I'd much rather meet him than buy an autograph. Another comment from John. Yep. Please tell me they've taken Vader's no out of the 4K release. It ruins the
that seems so much more powerful silent, but we don't know if they've taken out the 4K. I really hope
they haven't. McClunky's in it. So basically, what came out on Disney Plus in November, which is it's the 4K release. It's also the final George Lucas cuts. They said that these were in active development before Disney took over. These were what would have been on the 3D releases back in the day when they were releasing them every year. So unfortunately, that has not been taken out.
Did you see the episode 1 3D release when it came
out?
I
saw episode 1. I really enjoyed it. The pod race was phenomenal.
Oh, it was. It was incredible, yeah.
I was disappointed that they didn't do 2 and 3. I understood the reason to axe them. They must have made about 100 mil of episode 1, though. But obviously Disney took over. I think, did they release 2 and 3 at Celebration Anaheim in 2015?
They may well have done, but they didn't release it to the actual general public. I think they just did the private screenings.
Just private screenings, which is fair play. I'd have loved to have seen 3. Carl Roberts, not sure if it's mentioned. Did you hear the season 1 Mandalorian episodes being released weekly in the UK and Disney Plus?
We did at the top of the hour.
Yeah. When we finish this, go straight back to the start. We've got a little mini rant about how ridiculous and awfully organised it is to do that. So that's the end of the main news. We've got your area now.
I'm going to put one last piece of news in,
Yeah.
because there's a message I received during this. This is just on a personal note. For everyone who's watched the podcast over the years, you know that I play and love X-Wing. Especially last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I went to the UK System Open where I came top 32 out of a 487-man event. Was absolutely cracking, loved it. The head judge of that event, Vince Kingston, has passed away tragically. He headed up the judge team from every major X-Wing tournament since its inception. I think in 2015 he set up the Nordics, which is the very first big international event that launched X-Wing to the community. Is now gave it to Europe. The last moment I had with him was a hug, and I see you at the Expo, the UK Games Expo in May, because we were going to be streaming that as I was playing, and it's a very heavy heart that I have to report that unfortunately he passed away. On a personal note, I just wanted to say my condolences out to his family, and unfortunately that was the message I received whilst we were on air. And of course, I've spoken and seen Vince around a lot the last few years, so just wanted to put that out there for anyone else who's listening, who does play X-Men, who may have known Vince, who has been at any of our events or watched any of the shows or anything. Thoughts go out to your family. But yes, we're now going to move on to Star Laws. So back into the lighter pieces of news, and we have a very interesting piece of news dropped today with the actual cover for issue number 6 of the main Star Wars series here. And as you can spot there, if you're watching online, if you can't the audio describe it now, you have Luke in his TIE Pilot's outfit. However, he is wielding a yellow lightsaber. This is not the first time in canon he's wielded a lightsaber of a different color. If you listen to as the Jedi, he does find a purple lightsaber which he uses and attempts to deconstruct to learn how to put one together. Unfortunately, he breaks it in the process, learning, of course, that it's only its master that can construct and deconstruct a lightsaber. So where this has come from, we don't know, but of course this does act as a replacement between episode 4 and episode 5 and episode 6. So very interested to see where we will go with that. And of course, the other bit of news is that Rise of Kylo Ren issue number 2 is now on its 3rd printing, which is extremely rare for a comic. There's only been a few in the history of Marvel that have gone to a 3rd and 4th printings. 4th printing is something that is extremely rare. I've only seen them do that for about 10 comics the entire time I've been collecting them. However, yes, so Rise of Kylo Ren number 2 has gone for a 3rd printing and making it one of the most successful comics in recent memory, especially for Star Wars. I mean, we know that issue number 1 of the main series back in 2015 was the highest selling comic of the decade, selling over 900,000 units. But I do actually have a spare Rise of Kylo Ren issue number 2 first printing that I may be giving away on this show. I haven't yet decided yet, but we shall see. And that is it for Star Laws this particular week. We've got some more news coming. Hopefully we've got some more bits coming up in the next 2 weeks, because on Monday we will have Project Luminous. Not sure what's going to tell yet, but of course we know that's all the authors, and so that's for the books and the comics coming together, releasing. There's big presses. I think got Marvel made, I think, that day as well, so I think it's a big Marvel release date for lots of stuff, a lot of news, but Project Luminous will be one of those things. I know I'll be reporting it, and I know George may be joining me for that one as well.
No, definitely. I'm very, very, very intrigued of current rumors and the people that have got involved in that. So Project Luminous could be either two things: one of the biggest things of the year, or one, not let down, but one of the kind of biggest hyped up, oh, it's not actually that big. We've had that many a time, Star Wars, and I really hope this isn't one of those. Now, we do have some vaguely breaking news that has cropped up on my phone, so I've been checking it. Not the best, not enough sources, so I'm not going to take my word for it. The Cassian Andor TV series has been delayed due to script issues. It sounds like Groundhog Day. I'm going to wait for some more sources. I'm not going to lie. I don't care. Politely put, Cassian is probably the one show that no one asked for. Of anything you could have put on Disney Plus, Cassian, really? Even if it's a Rogue One cast group, Cassian, really? Anyway, it's not confirmed at this stage. It's a shame he doesn't have a premiere this evening like what Ewan McGregor did to end all talk. However, it's rumoured it's only a couple of months delay, so it's probably just going to start when Kenobi was due to start, like a month or two down the line. But anyway, it's not confirmed yet, but a little bit of tad bit of breaking news there, potentially. You're probably not too bothered either, are you?
I'm not, unlike Kenobi, I'm not like foaming at the mouth with rage for them moving it. However, I'm still slightly disappointed because I am very interested to see the show, but as you say, I don't really care too much. It was the one that you're not asking for. Kenobi is the one every fan's been begging for years. That's the one we care about. Rogue One was one of our favorite Star Wars films here, and the Cassian Andor show, although not asked for, was definitely not unwarranted. I'm gonna watch it when it does eventually come out. I will watch it and will probably enjoy it, and I'm interested to see what they do with the character. But it wasn't one that was like, yes, this is one I must have. This is a story that must be told. But interested to see what they do with that. And then moving on to Toy Shelf. So we've got the Black Series Zori Bliss. We'll have removable visors now confirmed. I think we actually have the figure in our we do here, yeah.
It probably explains why they didn't want to release it on launch day, because they had this amazing spoilerific photo of an inch of her face. It's a cool figure. I quite enjoyed her character. I like Kerris. I think Kerris was a phenomenal actress that was unfortunately underused big time in Star Wars. But I did like what we got from Zori Bliss, and I think she's a
she wasn't something to use as Dominic Moynihan. There was an actor who was just completely...
He was just a glorified cameo.
Yes.
He could have given K-Movie Channel with his lines. What's the amazing line? It kind of reads like a meme. I don't mean like an answer. I mean, it's just funny. It's like Sith. What's he say when they're talking about the Emperor?
Cloning. That's dark technology. Like the Sith like, something, whatever it is.
Yeah, like he's this random guy that just knew a lot about the Sith that wasn't a spy.
Yep.
It's like Sith
convenient plot piece. Done.
Just give it to bros. Anyway, prefer him in all the rings. But no, it's a cool little figure. I think we're going to get a lot of Hasbro stuff. I think New York Toy Fair's this week, so I give it a week's time. We'll probably have tons of Black Series to unveil. Probably loads.
I'm hoping and I'm thinking they're going to put some of those in line with the Clone Wars, so like Bad Batch and things like that. I think we'll get.
I don't think we'd get a Bad Batch. I think we might get. We've got Clone Wars, Anakin, and Obi-Wan, right, with the armor.
Yep.
We've had Commander Wolf, Commander Cody. We've had Rex.
Yep. We've got Green. We've got
Yeah.
Fox now came out recently, who's just beautiful.
Have they done Clone Wars Ahsoka or Darth Maul?
They have, but they did it a long time ago. So they have the 3.75-inch Black Series Ahsoka. Okay. You have the Fulgrim Ahsoka for 6-inch, but they haven't done a Clone Wars era 6-inch scale Ahsoka. So Snips. They haven't done Snips yet. So that would be an interesting one.
Like that and maybe Maul. I could see either of those two because they've released Maul a few times recently.
Yeah, and Savage Press would be nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential for Clone Wars.
Ventress, again, is one they haven't done.
And they've just released her lightsabers. There's a good shot there.
Yeah, we've had General Grievous. That is one. But again, you have... they've done B1s, but have they done a B2?
No, they haven't.
They haven't done a Droideka either.
No, they haven't. They've only just started on... You know, I'll give Hasbro a lot of respect. They didn't do anything prequels for years. Yeah. And there's a rumor they were saving it all for the 20th anniversary. To be fair to them, last year you had what? You had Mace Windu, you had droids, you had Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, every prequel people.
You had the beautiful Obi-Wan and Maul in the packaging that you've got that I didn't quite get my hands on, sadly.
Last year they really nailed it. Prequels. They've got obviously Episode 2 Anakin Obi-Wan on the way as well.
They also paid the comics some love last year with 000, BT1, Dr. Aphra. Again, those were ones that people were asking for because those have been incredibly popular characters.
And there's the gaming ones coming out. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah, so the B1 from Battlefront, but also Jedi Knight Revan from Galaxy Heroes. I really want that figure. It's really nicely done. I need that to my collection.
There's a lot of potential. I think we're going to get an onslaught of Episode 9 and a couple of Clone Wars things. I think the obvious one's going to be Ben Solo and then Rey at the end of the orange lightsaber. Seems like the two most obvious things.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Quick comment from Carl. Just very concerning every Star Wars project seems to have either a director or script issue.
I think they're just wanting to get it right. They just want to nail it.
I get your side. I get Carl's side as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a combination of the fact that Star Wars is a bigger outlet, so there is more attention, there is more effort put into finding out issues. Look at.
I think that is a genuine case there. I think, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I can understand. Obviously, people have got very split opinions on the sequels, split opinions on other stuff. I know that Mandalorian seems to have unified everybody, which hasn't been done for, well, since Episode 4 over 40 years ago. Some people forget people in like 5 on a release, 6 didn't have them. Some people in like 6 on a release. The prequels had their release. You know, the rest is history. I can understand all sides of it. It is frustrating. I think when this close to filming as well, was it meant to start April?
Yes.
You know, if it's pushed back to June, it's not really an issue. But if they turn around and said October, I'd be like, oh, that would be an issue. But as far as I'm concerned, it's in pre-production at the minute, and that's the most I can say on that one. Going back to Toy Shop very quickly though.
Yep.
Our beloved Lego has gone and released.
I'm gonna let you.
Want.
Oh, do we have to talk about this? Do we have?
Lego, it's
we
not
have to put them on the screen, George.
Lego Brickheads, Baby Yoda, and the Mandalorian. We've seen enough. There is probably 5 people out there in the world that do collect Lego Brickheads, and fair play to you. You're not going to be short of stock. You know. You know, I can't wait for Lego to release their proper stuff. Lego Brickheads is not that. Please just give us a release date for Lego Star Wars. I'd much rather have that. But Lego Brickheads, it's still a thing. Well,
the only thing is I'm now back on the hype train for the Lego Star Wars Complete Saga when that drops on Skywalker Saga, when that drops, because I now have a Switch, so I now will be able to play it. So now I'm back on the hype train for that. Because my laptop wasn't going to be able to run it. I was like, oh, I'm not as excited as you two. Now I have something to play it on. I'm like,
yes. Fun on Switch. It'll be fun on Switch as well.
Oh, yeah, it will be. So I'm like, yes, all of the hype, just release it. But yeah, I think that neatly rounds up all the news we have for the season. There's anything else to add, George?
Just one more, in games. Yep. Disney had a big game summit in Vegas last week. Now, we all know that Jedi Fallen Order was the big hit. It outdid EA's anticipated sales. We know that's probably more down to the fact that EA don't believe in single-player games anymore, and they were showing the humble pie for this one. At this event, one of the Disney high-ups came out to the audience, to the game developers, and very bizarrely kind of asked them that we want you guys to start coming to us. We want you to start pitching games for our licenses. Obviously, the fact that they've now got the rights to 20th Century Fox opens a lot of doors for games, as well as the current slate, Marvel, Star Wars, etc., etc. Personally, I'd love a Simpsons Hit and Run remaster. If anyone wants to please do that.
Would be incredible.
I'm surprised they haven't. And obviously, what they kind of mentioned was that it's unknown at this stage whether they're going to renew the exclusive EA license for Star Wars games. I massively doubt it. I think they're obviously going to be like, listen, like, we'll give you a license, we'll let you do Battlefront, we'll let you do a single player game, but I think the exclusivity of that license is now gone. 3 games in what are they on now? 8 years? When did they take over? They bought them in 2012, and Battlefront was on 2013. That's 3 and 7 years. I know that they're behind the scenes. They're obviously doing Battlefront 3. They're obviously going to do a Jedi Fallen Order sequel. But I mean, in theory, Disney, EA aren't doing Lego Star Wars. There must be, some way around it. And if this means game developers can rock up to Disney and be like, let's make a game on this, it makes it far more interesting.
I think that's probably a clause, though, in the exclusive rights, is apart from excluding
Lego,
certain
things
on Lego licenses.
Yeah. But, I'm hoping in the future, if any company's got an interesting idea, there's stuff that can be explored. And fingers crossed that Star Wars can get that. Obviously, games take longer to make than films. People also forget that. So you're not going to announce something tomorrow. It's not going to come out in September. It's 3-4 year process, if that. But if anything does get announced, it'll be E3. But that is everything on the news today.
Indeed it is. So I don't think there's anything else to add there, George. I think we're all done.
I think that is everything. It's longer than I thought. We're still shorter than usual, but
we always pad it out. It's fine.
Yeah, we pad it out. And, if you think we've not given you enough information on the DVDs and Blu-rays, you still need to make a choice. It's not too hard. Even flip a coin if you're on light side or dark side, or just get both of them like the Star Wars fan you are deep down.
Yeah, well, just get the Steelbook. You're fine. Either way, you're all good. But yes, I think that is in everything we have for tonight's show. So as per usual, thank you so much for watching. Thank you everyone for coming to get along. You can find us as per usual on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at One's the Force of Stars Podcast, at the Force Podcast. The video up on our YouTube and Facebook pages as per usual. And of course, you can find the audio version on our Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, and iTunes. But until next time, we've One's the Force. May the Force is always with you. Good night.